Why waste time complaining when you could use that time to control what you actually can control? This is Dr. C. Dexter Wise III, and welcome to another edition of Wow, a word from the wise on Wednesday. Muriel Bowser, the mayor of Washington, D.C., was a speaker for the Howard University commencement this year. She was a controversial pick because many of the students did not want her to speak. When she stood up to speak, several of the students booed. Many shouted, "Free DC, free DC." Some students even walked out while she was speaking. This is quite surprising since Howard is an HBCU, since 72% of the 3,100 students in the graduating class were female, and since more than 90% of them were black. You would think that they would be proud to have such an accomplished black woman to be their guest. Well, not so. Their beef with Bowser was that they thought she was a sellout to President Donald Trump. They thought she cooperated with and capitulated to too much with Donald Trump and his crazy policies toward making D.C. great again. To be fair, no matter who it was, the mayor of D.C. has always been in a precarious situation because D.C. has never been free. It's not even a city. It's not a state. It's a district. Washington, D.C. is the poster child for taxation without representation. They have no official voting congressional representative. They have no governor. Their budget is controlled by Congress and of the president, and the president of the United States is the de facto mayor of D.C. The students had a problem with Mayor Bowser because they thought she was part of the problem. However, one thing she said during her commencement speech that stood out to me and should not have been overlooked or unheard by the students. That is, she said in so many words. This is not the main part of her speech. This is just something she said as a one-liner in passing. She said, "There are so many things in life which are out of your control, but you students must learn to control what you do control. You must learn to control what you do control." Now, don't get me wrong. Fight for what is right. Demand what you deserve. But in the meantime, control what you control. We often complain so much, but how are we handling our own business? What are we doing about the things we can do something about? We're fussing about this, that, and the other. Everything's wrong. But what are we doing about the things that we can control and the things we can do something about? We complain about the education system, but when was the last time you went to a PTA meeting or even checked your child's homework? We complain about these wild and crazy young people out in the streets all night long, but at 11 o'clock p.m., do you know where your children are? We complain about the lack of health care. But listen, you know you have heart trouble, so why in the world are you eating a bacon and ham sandwich sprinkled with pork rinds all covered in mayonnaise? Really? We complain about how rundown the neighborhood is becoming, but is your grass cut? We complain about a lack of peace and a lack of a peace deal with Iran, but how about a peace deal in your family reunion? Lord have mercy. We complain about all the hypocrites in the church, but, well, you know the rest. There's so many areas in our life that we do not control. But we don't need an active Congress to make changes within our own sphere of influence. We would do well to take the advice of Mayor Bowser to learn to control what you control. Or to put it in biblical terms, as Joshua did, I don't know what other people are doing. I can't control the whole nation, but as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. This is Dr. C. Dexter Wise III. Feel free to follow me, leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Also, check out our church website at www.faithministries.church. And to learn more about my books, products, services, and the Wise School of Ministry, visit www.wiseworksonline.net. See you next week. Muriel Bowser, the mayor of Washington, D.C., was a speaker for the Howard University commencement this year. She was a controversial pick because many of the students did not want her to speak. When she stood up to speak, several of the students booed. Many shouted, "Free DC, free DC." Some students even walked out while she was speaking. This is quite surprising since Howard is an HBCU, since 72% of the 3,100 students in the graduating class were female, and since more than 90% of them were black. You would think that they would be proud to have such an accomplished black woman to be their guest. Well, not so.